Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are doing well. I'm going to be looking at the Syndicate Jackpot today, and this is going to be following the Jackpot Leader nerf and the King of Beggars power nerf. So this has been reworked once, nerfed once. This has been nerfed numerous times over the last few seasons, but I think the deck is still going to be competitive. I don't think it's going to be as broken as before. So this is why I'm showcasing it here, because it doesn't feel like we're being cheap and breaking the game when we're playing this deck anymore. And the King of Beggars play does not revolve around Savola. I like to go more of the bounty route when I can. There's other tributes in the deck that are going to be bringing out the King of Beggars. So consider Cobb as just a refund and a thin. That's pretty much it. It's not really that bad, right? We get the 12 coins back and then it thins. So it's basically playing for its provisions, and I think it does it nicely. Now, we have other tribute options to take. If there's armor on something, take Professor. We have the Ludo, we've got the Marils, and we've got the Salamander Mages. So there's no shortage of options there to get out King of Beggars. If we do overprofit on Ludo, we can get a little bit of carryover from the King of Beggars, but it all really kind of comes down to the situation that we're in. Is it worth it? Do we want to go and do that, right? So to go through the list here, we have the Witchfinder. So on deploy, spawn 3 Syndicate Crowns at the end of your turn. If there's no enemy unit that has bounty, place a bounty on the highest power enemy unit. So this is going to help us recycle our coins. Obviously, we want to go and put bounties on things, kill those things, and then get the coins back so we can keep replenishing this. She often gets answered, so I wanted there to be alternative versions of placing bounty in the deck. So we have a couple Slanders and a couple Witch Hunters, and I'm finding that this is more than enough bounty to go around in the deck so that we're getting that coin replenishment. And we have Spenders, in this case being the Horson's Freak Show and being the Witch Hunter Executioner. I like to prioritize this one here. It's a more flexible spender, so we put these ones out generally first because I'd like for them to answer these opposed to answer this if one of them has to go. So this is very contingent, right? We can put bleeding, but it's the damage only if there's a bounty on the unit. So again, if we're playing into like the siege matchup and we want to save it from a boiling oil, we just put this down so we could use this later and take out all those siege engines no matter what, right? Because we have to do a lot of removal on one turn in that matchup. So Horson just really helps clean up in that situation. But overall, really nice play with those there, and you can win a round just strictly off of the Executioners and the Slanders and whatnot if they can't answer the bronze package that we have. Now, Professor's just really good because we can put a bounty on an enemy unit and damage it by 4. If we tribute 3, ignore the target's armor. When you're playing against Siege specifically, they're going to have the reinforced ballistas out, and if they put them on the ranged row, they're going to be 4 power and they're going to have an armor. So if we tribute 3, we can get rid of that pesky engine that's going to be going for the entire round, right? It makes a big difference there. This plays really well into the Syndicate Mirror. If they have a tax collector, we can take care of that. Pretty much any 4-point engine, armor doesn't protect it. We play into Scoia'tael, get rid of those Elven Seers. We can get rid of the Elven Scribes. We can get rid of the Pyrotechs. So lots of good options for Professor here. It's not as simple as just 6 base power, 4 damage. That's not it. We're getting the 4 coins as well, and we're stopping whatever they're doing. We want to use this on an engine of some sort, so this plays for really good value. And I wouldn't just use it on anything just for the points. King of Beggars, we talked about it. This has been a very controversial card over the last couple months. Fee of 1, boosts out by 1. While in deck, whenever you play a tribute, remove a counter for each coin paid. For each removed counter, gain 1 coin back. When the counter reaches 0, summon itself from the deck to a random allied row with a counter of 12. So like I said, mainly for the thin, because Syndicate has the consistency issue, and we can't deny that. You can go in with the Sewer Raiders, or you can go in with the Casino Bouncers, but they just feel slow compared to what we're seeing from Northern Realms, what we're seeing from Skellige, and all these other factions that can thin really quickly. We have Saskia in Scoia'tael, we've got Simlas, like all these cards that are pulling tons of cards. We got to be able to pull one out for ourselves. So I think at this point, again, It feels pretty comfortable. It doesn't feel game breaking, and I'm starting to think it's all right. Now, moving on to Siggy. This is going to get Profit 9. It also has Intimidate. We're not really playing crime cards beyond just a couple here, right? But we do have that extra engine capacity. If we get Siggy down first, we play those crimes after. It'll boost Siggy by 1 for each. Now, boost up Profit 9 because we have 5 different unique gang categories in the deck. And just really helps us fill up the bank so we can go and spend. And it's kind of one of those things that you want to have Siggy when you're playing Jackpot, because if you overprofit, you're just getting the boost, right? Other decks might be a little bit difficult to pull off Siggy and get the coins perfect before you play them. Now, I think Heatwave has to stay. You know, I like my Vigo's Muzzle, guys. I really do. And a lot of Jackpot decks are running Philippa. And what's better than Philippa that you have to pay for? You have to pay to take stuff. We don't have to pay anything to take this, right? I tried Vigo's Muzzle, and I didn't think that Vigo's Muzzle was the answer for Syndicate right now. I think the second Tall Punish is very important, and again, I wasn't thoroughly impressed with this here. In the other decks I put out Muzzle, I stand by it. I think Muzzle was very appropriate there, but I just didn't like the version as much with Muzzle here. Now, there might be another Syndicate deck that I put Muzzle in, maybe, but just not this one. And Royal Decree, again, consistency issues that we have. We're non-devotion. We don't have to worry about Vivaldi Bank and really leave it up to chance of where we're going to be top decking and what we're going to be getting based on how many coins we have. Royal Decree, make sure we get what we want when we need it. There might be a time where we really need Siggy, or we really need Professor, or Witchfinder, or a Spender, right? So this is going to help us there. We don't really have a lot of specials that I'm desperately needing, with exception to maybe Heatwave, and it's one of those things where at least we have another Tall Punish if we miss the Heatwave. At least we have ways to remove things if we miss the Heatwave. So that's why I think Royal Decree just makes a lot of sense here. Morales is really good. We take the tribute on this to help count down the King of Beggars, and if we can't afford it, at least we could do 4 damage on deploy. So the floor of this card is 8 points. The ceiling of this card is like 1,000 points, right? Like, you could do anything. You destroy a unit for 6 coins. So there's going to be a lot of decks right now that are going pretty greedy, right? Skellige Self Wound or Berserk is notorious for going super tall right now. So we can Heatwave maybe like the Melusine, and we can take out the Olaf or whatever the case, whatever they go and they boost up like crazy, right? So it just really helps us there. The Flying Redanian, this is something that you want to get out of deck early in the game. On Horde 9, on turn end, summon this unit from your deck or graveyard to a random allied row. So what we're looking to do, if we go first, we have Tiger's Eye, and we've got Tax Collectors that are going to be bringing us up to 9 coins. If we go second, we have a little bit more tempo with the Beggars play, and then of course Tax Collectors again to help us get to the 9 coins. There's other ways to get coins like Slander, the Executioner, and whatnot. So just good cards that we could play and get profit, right? So it's not difficult to get the 9 coins. Just make sure that you have at least one turn on turn end where you have 9 coins to get that boat out early, because what you don't want is to pull into the Flying Redanian in round 2 or round 3, and you have to play that from hand because you didn't get it out early in the game. So trust me on this one, you will pull better cards for the rest of the game if you just focus on getting this card out early. That's pretty much it. Ludo helps fill up the bank again. I think it's really important to have this kind of swing. Siggy does it once, Jackpot does it once. Of course, King of Beggars gives us the refund on the tributes, which is okay, right? But Ludo really helps fill things up. And if we're in a situation where we can afford to, then we can take the tribute when we have like a full bank and just get the carryover value on the King of Beggars, boost it to like, 7 or 8 in our deck, and then when it comes out, it's actually pretty strong, right? We don't have to go spend a bunch of coins into it. We just have it sitting there for points. So that's kind of the alternative strat. But this might be really important if there's some engines we got to take out right away, and we only have so much coin to go around, right? So that's what we have here. We talked about Horson's Freak Show, just one of my favorite spenders in Syndicate, if not the best spender in my opinion. Profit 2, fee 2, damage. It's got the armor. It's not overtuned. It's pretty easy to remove, but it does its job. It does a lot of damage in one turn, damage you can't take back. So we definitely want to use this at the appropriate time, because we know that as soon as we play this, it will see a lock, it will see boiling oil, it'll see a rebuke, it'll see Alzur's Thunder, it'll see a heat wave, right? It's going to see something. So again, just use it wisely. Salamander Mage, this is going to help us get our tributes for the King of Beggars. Tribute 4, damage 3 adjacent units by 2. Whenever you play a tribute ability, gain 1 coin. Adrenaline 5, gain 2 coins instead. So it's got the second effect that's passive. It's kind of nice. It's good if we're going to be taking like this and then maybe like a Maril Scepter or something like that. But that's probably going to be like the sequence. Like, I don't think you're going to be taking Professor tributes after, or like a Ludo tribute after this necessarily. But still, it's nice to be able to get the extra coin back. What we just really want it for is the 3 adjacent units by 2 is 6, plus the 5 here is 11, and then we get the refund. So that's like actually really good, right? And so basically why it's in here. The Witch Hunter Executioner is awesome because we profit 2, again, fee 1, give an enemy unit bleeding for 1 turn. If it has bounty, damage it by 1 instead. So if we're going to over profit off the bounty that we kill, we can put a couple bleeding first, so that we don't over profit, right? That's really important, because the over profit from the bounty wouldn't give a boost to this, it would just be wasted coin. So this helps us manage those coins more effectively. If we're looking to get out of a round or pass or something like that, it's going to help us get out of that situation as well. So we have the Executioner there for that. Now the Slander, profit 3, place a bounty on an enemy unit. Simple enough. Just 6, but it has a 9-point ceiling, because when we spend the coin, we get the coin back. That's the way I look at it. Just good to have here. A little bit of an adjustment because we had to make room for obviously some cards that were more expensive now. Peller is really important because either something of ours gets poisoned or locked. We have to get through a defender in order to heatwave something. Right? There's many different applications for it. So normally I would use Kurt. But with the provision adjustments for things, it just makes that a little bit more difficult. Kurt's here somewhere. So Kurt would be able to give a bounty or purify. We just have to go with Peller instead because, like I said, cost is just too expensive. And we've got the Witch Hunters. Again, I really like these cards. It all kind of comes down to how you look at them. So on deploy, place a bounty on an enemy unit. Right? So this is 4 base power. It plays for putting a bounty. If we put a bounty on a 4 and kill that 4, we get the 4 coins back. So I look at it like a pseudo 8. It really helps that flexibility. It's actually a pretty good card if you look at it that way. So this is why I like to include them whenever I do like a bounty deck. I just find that they're actually pretty good. And Tax Collector, nice card here. Proactive play, we need some proactive plays too. So on ranged, every allied turn on turn end gain 1 coin. If we have a full bank, this will start boosting itself by 1 every turn. So it's kind of like a nice little engine there. I used to run the Passiflora Peaches as well in the bronze end if we have them here. There we go. But I just felt like bounty control would be a better substitute in this situation, right? There's going to be a lot of decks that we just want to punish right now. So Witch Hunters came in. The Peaches went out, and it just feels more comfortable that way. Sea Jackals are going to be the most efficient spenders that we have in the deck, so you want to value these, okay? Fee of 2, boost self by 2, Horde 7, boost self by 3 instead. So 7 or more coins means we get the 3 boost for it. So if we have 9 in the bank, we spend 2, we get 3. Then we have 7 in the bank, we spend 2, we get 3. So you want to just kind of top up your coins every time before you spend Jackal to get the most value from the Jackal. These can go very tall. These can go like 30 points. So you got to be careful when you play them and how you play them, because they will get an answer. If it's in round 1, do we really care if they heat wave it though? That's the thing, right? Because we got that really tall removal out of the way for a 4 provision card, so it feels pretty good. And lastly, we have Beggars, profit 3, bonded, profit 5 instead. So again, really easy way to get coin quickly, and when they're bonded, you get the extra coin for having the second one out there, and any excess coin gained, of course, is going to boost them as well, so we don't have to worry about spilling over with our profit. They're just something we could put down there and play. So this is the deck. I'm going to be including a bunch of games for you guys here with post-game commentary, and this was played while I was at the top 100 in pro rank this season. I think I was 75 at the time. So there are some sweaty games. There are some really difficult games, and these are going to be challenging matchups. We did pretty well regardless. I didn't lose during my play, but we did get a couple ties, so it was pretty wild. And hopefully you guys liked the list, and if you weren't a fan of King of Beggars before, it might be maybe a time to reconsider, because it doesn't feel so bad here. And I'm going to be uploading tomorrow as well. I have another idea that I'm working on. I'm going to be doing a Scoia'tael deck soon. It's going to be into that self-wound berserk archetype. And so far, I like it a bit. I don't love it. There's certain combos that I'm trying to optimize, and there's just draw consistency issues, because unlike Skellige Warriors and stuff like that, there's a lot of cards that need other cards to be good, and it's just about getting all those cards at once. Whereas like Skellige Warriors, for example, you could just play one-off cards and they're just doing all right. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I'm working on. I've tried a couple different versions. I have a version right now that I'm winning games with, but I'm not loving it. So that's something that I might do, like, here's version 1, here's version 2, or it's something that I might just like keep working on until I get it perfect. We'll have to see about that. But that's pretty much it. And I don't know if I said it, but if you like the content, subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 5k subs, and let's keep the train rolling. Let's get into the games here. Alright, and for the first game here, we've got Northern Realms Inspired Zeal. And so we do go first, which makes me not value the beggars quite as much, because we have the ability to get the coins out. However, it could save us a lot of coin on having to go a Ludo or something like that. So I'm not really sold on chucking them back just yet. I think we take care of the Jackal, put that away, because I want to focus a lot of our coin offensively. I see good bounty options, so we can get some value out of the Executioner. And I was looking to maybe take away one of the golds, get something a bit lighter, because I think we might have to play pretty deep into the round if they're playing the Siege variant of Inspired Zeal. If it's mages, I think we should be okay. Too soon to tell here. And I honestly felt like everything was fine and fair, but when I started playing against Siege, whether it's my version or different versions, obviously there's some balancing issues, right? The tempo that they have is just too strong, and they can mill down to, in a perfect situation, 0 cards. I think I've had one game where I was able to get down to nothing. However, normally you'll get maybe between 1 and 3 cards left in the deck at the end of the game. It's pretty wild. That's assuming you use your John Tutor separate from your Amphibious Tutor. You have the Siege Masters in hand. You get a couple turns off the Raffords. You get Henselt pulled out, right? Stuff like that. Like, it goes down pretty thin. So I fear that we have to fight for the coin here. It's going to be difficult. I might even lose on even. And, like, I'm already anticipating this going into the second, third turn of the game, right? Let's focus on the mission here. This will bring us up to 8 coins. So we're not quite boat ready. And something I recommend, guys, even if you think you're going to lose the round and you've got 6 cards in hand, at least play to like 6 or 5. Get the boat on the board to save yourself the trouble later. The difference between us losing the round at 7 and losing it at 6 is not really that significant. So they've got too much going on, and I have to appreciate that. The fact that we saw a few gold cards and I've only dished bronzes is somewhat helpful. I'm just looking at if there's one last effort here, maybe get a bit of a tribute for King of Beggars, a little bit of that. We get back the boat, so it's looking all right. Obviously, we're not in a great spot because, you know, we still have to fight for a round if we're going to do it, but I have to decide here shortly. Do we just pass, or do we really go for it? If we really go for it, it means we're going to have to go and spend the horse in and all our coin and all that, and I don't know if it's worth it. We just dump this here. I'm hoping that they just take, like, a pass, but it's really optimistic. Or dish another gold, right? You play the bronze, maybe they try and push even harder. So they go down with the winch, do all that. Winch is such a good card now. Before it was good, but now it's even better. And of course, my golden unwritten rule is you pass at 5 if you're losing on even. It's not always the case, but if you don't, you better win the round at that point. We've got a handful of gold cards. I'm thinking that at least we have a shot at competing with what they're doing here. And I'm telling you guys, King of Beggars is not busted anymore. Like, it works. It's not busted, though. Pretty good hand. I have a throw card. I kind of want Maril's, but we can obviously pull into that, right? And so, too soon to tell, they could either be just going for it and setting up some siege engines for this scenario, or they might just be, you know, just throwing a card down and go for a pass, right? Normally, when I play siege, I push. So when I come into the matchup, I anticipate them going for the 2-0. I find with a deck like this, it often just plays better in 2 rounds than 3. But it could still play 3 for sure, right? So we lost on even. I have to respect that. So they put me in a bad spot where we have to actually go and spend. We gotta spend, right? So I'm looking to play something a bit cheaper. I don't want to go crazy with it. Because we gotta stay ahead of them. I don't want to play Siggy. So the idea is maybe taking Professor. Professor off the 3. Depends on what they play here. You see, they've got us pretty locked. And they're just doing routine things, right? Amphibious, pull out a bronze. Them pulling into John actually helps us because I thought that they were going to go a bit taller than that. So Professor here actually makes sense. The cooldown on the Caraballista is getting closer, so that keeps us ahead. Full coins, then we get the boat out, and then we can actually kind of try and defend things a little bit better. I don't love the fact that that Carballista's order is going to be used, like being used soon, and we can't really do anything about it. I don't really want to spend our bounty package yet either. So next, I'm probably going to see if we can dish maybe the Executioner or the Jackal or something. It's getting into Heatwave territory, isn't it? Because we got to stay ahead. Jackal with a click does it, but how long are we going to be able to live off this, right? Yeah. We can ride that for maybe another turn or something like that. Executioner and then click the Jackal again, but maybe even 2 clicks. Sure enough, we get the pass. I think that we were fortunate that they didn't get the cards that they were looking for. Otherwise, they probably would have jammed Scenario by now. But this helps us out quite a bit. Going around 3, and look for those final pieces here. Hopefully we don't pull Cobb. That's kind of what I'm considering. So we have a Jackal. That's going to help us out quite a bit. Obviously Ludo would be a huge play. Like I'm talking about Jackal and then I dish it. I guess it makes sense here because all the... Yeah, I'm just looking back at the play. All of the coins that we're going to need to spend are probably going to be needed to being spent offensively. So getting rid of their siege engines opposed to boosting our own stuff. So that's probably the process that I was thinking at the time. That's what I'm talking about. So it's tough because we got to get bounties out here to cycle things out quicker. But then we got to let Whoreson down. And the extra coins help quite a bit. We got to get rid of all that stuff. The only issue that I'm worried about here is, okay, so they took the duel on this opposed to taking the duel on the Whoreson, which is great. The bounty's already been placed. We have another way to put a bounty after. I gotta be careful. We'll put this down first because I'm anticipating boiling oil, at least one or two of them, right? And this will be our turn to get out the boat. So we'll click, fill up bank, bring out boat, because I think we're going to have to go crazy with the spending very soon. Here it comes. So, it's tough. Do we ever just, yeah. Little heal property here. Again, timing's everything. If I play Whoreson from hand this way, it keeps it out of a boiling oil range because it'll get the 2 boost. So there's that, but we do miss the coin, which is pretty annoying, right? So, yeah, we'll take care of this while we can. At least we take care of one so we're not continuously taking damage on the back row. Still trying to plot my my Whoreson removal because it's going to take 4 clicks on the reinforced. And then right now it's going to take 3 on the Henselt. So it's going to be full bank, full leader. But fortunately they... got rid of theirs. It's all already dealt with. Doesn't matter where we play it as long as it's melee, right? Here, we'll take care of this now because it can get ugly. And then there we go. Click. Just give it that extra boost, a little bit of extra power here, and it's done. Feels bad using the 2 for 1, but it'll get its value here. And then we can just fill up with Siggy, do it all again, and then maybe take Mariels for 4, or depends if they go tall. It's kind of annoying. We gotta deal with that problem now. 2, 4, 6. So the problem is I want King of Beggars out, right? Like, we don't want to... Like, I want to use the coin, just in case. But I don't want to waste it. So it just puts us at 6, gets rid of the one-man crew. But we can't take that down, and that sucks. And you'll see what I mean here when King of Beggars comes out of the deck, like how underwhelming it is when you compare it to what they're doing. That's kind of the big thing here. We can take Mariels on the 5 in the back. Full test pride. See? Is it really that bad? It's not that bad. We just got it done here. That was a close one, but we managed to pull out here and actually make it happen. Moving on to the next one. If this is the game that I'm thinking it is, this is a wild game. I was really happy with this one. It's kind of like an all or nothing game for sure. King of Beggars goes back. Yeah, a big part of my day off of making content was I took a big nap, man. I caught up on some sleep. When the patch dropped, in the 24-hour period surrounding the patch, I took 2 naps that were maybe 2.5 hours each. I was just like, make a video or 2, take a quick nap, get up, make a video or 2, take a quick nap. It was pretty wild. And yeah. So I'm feeling pretty good right now, but it's late. It's like 8 p.m. So I think I messed up the schedule. We gotta get rid of this. I know what they're doing with that. This card's wild if we leave it unchecked. So the Morel's Tribute early does help, right? I don't have an answer. We can't give it bounty. If I damage by 2, it's not dead. We don't have the Freak Show. I could pull Freak Show, but I think it's too expensive. So that's kind of why I'm like contemplating, do we even play? You know, because if I go Peller Purify, then try to get it out, like it doesn't do anything. And then they just get a free round, basically. If you guys haven't seen my Alzur, Vigo, Francesca, Salve deck, that was the first deck that I put out of the patch. You definitely want to go check that one out. That one's really cool. Pull off double muzzle. You can pull off double heat wave or whatever it is. It's nuts. So check that one out. Orbs of Insight. Just rapid firing. I know that they're probably going to play a little. That was my cell phone. Turn that down a little bit. Man, you know, like you install one phone game to see what it's all about or something. And then every time the game has like some little, here's today's event type thing, you're getting notifications for it. And then pretty soon, it's like you're getting one every other hour, it feels. So we'll give the Elven Scribe some bounty. And let's go and clip that, because that's going to get out of hand here. We don't care about the vitality there. It doesn't bring them ahead. We save the coin. We're taking away from our boat if we got to use Peller to stay ahead, unfortunately. It's a good Peller, though. The 3 vitalities, it's actually a good Peller, 7-point Peller here. But how do we deal with that? Now that requires an answer. I was holding back on playing the Horson's Freak Show last round, but if we're gonna play it, we have to play it. It's that or Professor. Professor's kind of nice for a short round because it doesn't require any setup. Yeah, it feels bad because we know what's going to happen to this card. Like, they're running spells, so another Alzur's Thunder, whatever the case, could be, or worse, the muzzle. Yeah, so I'm just looking at the deck right now. It's not it's not the same as mine. They have a Whisperer, and I don't have a Whisperer in mine. Because I think it's too ambitious. Putting down that 3-point card, waiting a turn, hoping it works. Like, I want it to work. I wish I could do that. Now we're stuck. Now we gotta really go into the round. It's crazy how many points they get off that leader and then just clicking the truffle. And I rarely see Dwims, so I wasn't anticipating Dwim here. We need to come up with like 21 points and more because we've got the location reset. Was thinking about clicking the crowns. It doesn't matter because either way, right? Like, we have to play a card to get back, so we can just hold it for now. Simlas is nuts. And this is one of the problems I'm talking about. The game is evolving into such a high tempo game. And we demand like a long round to really get the most value. Here, we'll get this engine online. We got to start getting the coin because I want to see the boat. I guess they said that's too slow. Take the tribute here. Set up the cop for round 3. Get the coin back. That puts tax collector and boat. Yep. So that'll take us ahead. So we got the card. Like we defended the card. We didn't get a card down. However, they got their card back, technically, right? And they got the carryover of 6 points. So I'm thinking we lose. And I'm looking at this hand like it's impossible, right? Like bounties, no spender, well, 1 spender, but it doesn't really work with the bounties. Like we missed Heatwave, we missed Professor, we missed Cobb. Well, we don't need Cobb in hand, but you know what I mean. Like, we will get Cobb, but is it really enough? So we have to greet it. 100% we have to greet it. I can't even answer this. The slander's really bad, because that card here is playing for 3 points, right? Without a spender, it plays for nothing. So if you're going into a round and you don't have a spender that does damage, then get rid of it, right? So Alzur, jeez. I'm just praying for a low roll. Codwell is my answer. So I know that we can go taller than them, and if they don't have a heat wave, we might win the game. That's the only line I have. Everything else just doesn't work, right? There's Sad Boy Cobb. See, 1 point. It's just a little thin. And we didn't even thin as well as they did. They have 4 cards in deck. They just packed it. So I could see the line, and I'm just making sure I get the interaction right. It's on the end of their turn. Codwell moves through with the highest unit. So I know that it's at the end of their turn. So I have to go super tall on my last turn. And I'm trying to make them think that maybe we're going to take out the Alzur so they stop boosting it. It's all a mind game at this point. Look at the score. And now they're thinking, okay, Gord, let's consume that, right? You don't have an answer to both. I'm just so glad that Codwell spawned to the left of the Were-Rat. Otherwise, we'd be in trouble. So if their last card's Heatwave, we lose. I'm reluctant to spend here because I'm like, oh man, like they're just gonna Heatwave it anyways. There's no shots, so I didn't really optimize the way we spent the coins there. But I also knew they weren't gonna go taller than 32. There's no way. And so now it just comes down to, is it a Heatwave or is it not? If it's not a Heatwave, we could win. It's a Thunder, we win. One last attempt here, right? Unbelievable. We got it done in a game that felt impossible, right? Now, moving on to the next one. Here we have Syndicate Jackpot, and we'll see if theirs is anything like the one we're doing here. I'm surprised. I did run into a couple jackpot games, so people haven't given up on it. Maybe they've just grown accustomed to playing it for so long that, you know, when in doubt, use what you already are comfortable playing. I forgot about the coffee. I'm just gonna have a couple sips here. Okay, so they're running Smuggle. The reason why I don't like Smuggle, and they have Slender as well. So the reason why I don't like Smuggle is because you don't boost by the excess coins gained. So if you are using too many specials to get coins, then it's tough. Like, I could see you using it maybe for the tag, but that's about it. So I think beggars are just the better option if we're doing it that way. And if I go down Professor here, we don't need to take the tribute on that. We get rid of their spender. We bring out the boat. That's kind of the priority for me here, is just try to get rid of their spenders when possible. Bring out the boat early and get things set up. Now, it looks good, but we're not really ahead, if you think about it. We have some work to do. We can give the tax collector a bounty and try to take care of that. Man, I love this Syndicate card back. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to play Syndicate, like today especially, because I just bought the card back, and besides playing my crime deck, I haven't really been playing Syndicate, so I'm like, yeah, I gotta milk this for a bit. That's a sick card back. It's probably one of the nicest ones in the game. It's got like the crazy 3D thing going on, colors on it, like there's like, you see that like green LED on the side of it? It's like a little flame or something. It's nuts. I swear I've actually won games before from queuing up, and I've got like a sweaty leader skin, a board, a card back, and all that. And they're just like, nah. Not today, man. So they didn't take boat, they took the spender, which is okay. I'm thinking that they're probably devotion, because I'm thinking that muzzle's probably a better Philippa right now if I had to choose between the two. Because imagine being able to muzzle something and then also be able to keep your coins at the expense of something being locked. I think it's worth it. Okay, now we're getting the big commitments for them to stay ahead. See, this is what we're looking for, right? I could go take a Cobb carryover on the Lugo, or the Ludo, or I could just play a Jackal. I'm just hoping they have good cards that they have to spend. That's basically what it comes down to. And if they hike up the Jackal, we take a Heat Wave. I don't think we feel too bad about it. I feel like when it comes down to this matchup, the really big advantage just comes in what side of the coin you're on. If you're red, you're pretty good. Like, I understand what they're going through right now, and I would be pretty frustrated myself. You see that spending down all the way? Okay, how can we get out of the situation, right? And I'm just sitting here like, we'll just play another card, you know? Like, we have nothing to lose. And then we just look at how we're losing 4 points. So that'll make us a tie. Gotta click again. really inexpensive, right? You're just getting these points off a Jackal. Really benefiting from the Horde 7 thing. Siggy comes down. We can even match Siggy here, which is crazy, right? Because that's one of the things, like, I know at this point we have better cards left. They played Marils, they played Siggy, they played Philippa, they played Witchfinder, they played... well, the boat doesn't really count, but you know what I mean? Like, they're getting a lot of these cards played. There's all your coin. 37. I'm deciding. That's a lot of points, but it's also like accomplished. We can make it happen, because if you look at it this way, they spent down to nothing. We have 3, so we're still sitting with that advantage. If they play, we heat wave. We just win the round, right? But there we go. Now, a couple options. Cobb's sitting at 7 points for when we pull him out. We could pass here and get that double last say, or we can try and win. It depends on what we draw. And that's awkward. Slander, yeah. So we don't want to float either of those cards. So in a position like this, we don't really have a lot of coin. If I had like half a bank, I might consider playing here, but I think we just pass, go for that double last say. Even more chance to answer their Jackals and whatever happens to go tall, right? Don't get me wrong, I enjoy playing this way. There's a little bit of guilt sometimes though, you know? You know, we're just playing a competitive game and the goal is to win, so... You know? It's all GG's at the end, but... Definitely some uncomfortable games. We've got Bounty Kill... Tax Collector's a little slow. So we got the 2 Slanders kind of bad. But I think with just the extra card, we should be fine. Yeah, 2 Spenders. We have access to a 3rd Spender. Cobb's going to thin out a deck. Okay. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I think you always just do this here. They got to fill up the bank first, and they already spent Siggy, so I know that they're not going to go rapid fire clicking on that right away. So we can just take care of it as it comes. Purify it. I don't think that's... Oh, okay. So they did take a bounty here. We'll just go and kill this. Spend this Spender first. Like I said, because Freak shows the better Spender overall. Use this one because we have bounties here, just the advantage of it. And they just had enough. So... Again, really comes down to what side of the coin you're on, how you're going to do a lot of the time in that matchup. Just keep pushing and pushing until you've seen enough and try and take the first round on even if you can. That's what I'd recommend. Going into a little bit more of a difficult matchup, I'm thinking that maybe they have the advantage on us right now because the provision allotments, 3 more. And I would probably run Savola still if I was playing off the books. And I'll probably do something on off the books shortly. But it's probably going to be a little bit different than this. Like, there might be... Who knows? I was going to say there might be less bounty, but I don't know. It's going to be different, though, for sure. Because there's, like, other tributes we can capitalize on having. I don't really mind the ghouls. But what I don't like about the ghouls is that, yes, they play for 7 points with no condition. There's no fee that you have to pay, but they don't do anything. So you get the 7, that's great. But the thing is, like, with like a beggar, or if you're devotion, maybe like a mutants maker, you're also getting like those same points basically but you're storing some off the board in your bank, which I find is valuable because then there's less for them to interact with. 7 sitting there is alright, because if you're playing against like Nilfgaard, for example, maybe they go and say, hey, we'll take a Fangs off the 7, because why not, right? It's still points that they're removing. Now, it doesn't really help, let's say, Siege or something, where they're looking to destroy engines and you just have a point slam, but you know what I mean. I just didn't want games, I just wanted to get out of the round, and having just played a Syndicate matchup where it was the Jackpot mirror, I figured we just had to come out swinging a little bit in round 1 to get things started. Fortunately, though, we took it off the bronze end, right? We didn't have to spend a lot of gold to make it happen, which is really nice about the bounties. Because we need to save every gold card that we can in a matchup where we know that they're going to have a lot of the same cards, but more gold cards than us. That's basically what it comes down to. If you think about it, it's like you're playing Nilfgaard Imprisonment against Nilfgaard Double Cross. Like, you know they have the extra provision, so you know there's going to be an extra gold card in there. More than likely, that's kind of what I'm talking about. More like the old Double Cross when it was 17 provisions, the most expensive leader in the game. That's when it was ugly. It'd be like you're playing Double Cross 17 extra provisions against like Lockdown at 10 extra, you know? You're like, okay, 7 provisions more than me, what do they have that we don't have? You know, it just felt like you're gonna lose every time you play it. That's a little bit how I felt here. I'm just messing around a little bit, right? We get Professor out, though. We just chucked down a card, tested the water, we got Professor. So I'm feeling alright, okay, we aren't spending gold cards like that, and they're dropping this, and we have a full bank, and they don't have a full bank, so... Another gold card, you see? Okay. And I'm looking, just double checking here. How many were spent? 2 for them, 0 for us. So we pass. At 7, we're not getting that card. Like, at this point, if we're playing, we're losing our card. You know, it's not a good look. Like, we could throw the game if we keep playing in that case. Little bit of panic going on here, right? We definitely want to have more bounty stuff going around. That's like pretty important. Just reading some comments for a second here. You guys are looking forward to the self wound. Yeah, me too. If we can make it work. So Jacques tough because if they're running like this, tells me it could be Siggy Caesar, right? It's one of the only reasons why you would run Jacques maybe like in the meta right now, unless you're playing Fireswarm. I told you guys, like, maybe like a month ago I found out that it was actually Fire Sworn, and that the deck was called Fire Swarm. But I kept calling it Fire Swarm with an N thinking that was the name of the faction for like the last couple years, like the name of the archetype. And mind blown when I actually read the card. So you guys know I'm notorious for pronouncing stuff poorly when it comes to these cards, or just misreading them, right? So I think it's kind of funny. My latest episode was obviously calling a boiling oil rebuke in my last video. I don't even recognize these things when they're happening. It's when you guys bring them up, I think it's kind of funny. Yeah, we gotta take this here. We gotta get the coins, get the boat out. We still lose tax collector though. I want to remove Jacques obviously in that case because if it is Siggy Caesar, then it's just not denying some extra points for them. It's also not giving them that spender to work with, maybe making it a little bit more awkward. If they're taking a lot of tributes, maybe they don't have many spenders. It's all kind of dedicated towards the tribute. This is gross. We just have to click there. Yeah, that's gonna do it for our damage spenders. With exception to like us playing maybe Professor or the Mage, right? But it's not gonna be like as much damage as we want. It's gonna have that certain ceiling. We do have the Marils, which is pretty good in the Heat Wave. But I think we gotta get rid of the Horson soon. Just because if that's their only spender, they start chipping away at things, it could be a problem. Guys, I actually like Walter as a card. If you're playing something that's like bounty or crime heavy, then Walter's a good card. If you're playing something that's like horde heavy or like Firesworn, it doesn't really feel that comfortable. But crimes would be like my go-to because it's a unit that creates a special. So if like Gord's part of that deck, really sound. It's really good. At 9 provision, it was too expensive. At 8, it's like the sweet spot. 7 would be overtuned. I mean, I'd really like it at 7, though. I think that'd be awesome. But, you know, overtuned. So poison, this is kind of confusing because, like, they put bleeding here, but they have it in there probably for the poison, right? It's not for the bleeding. So I'm trying to figure out, like, what's going on. You know, a little bit of everything in the deck. It seems to be working quite well for them. So, here's the issue, okay? I can Heat Wave that, or I can just Marils that. I don't like either. But at the same time, it might be bait, because they've spent most of the coins that they have in order to, you know, like with that. So I know that if they're going to try and bring out like Savola or take Marils or something of that sort, then they're going to have to save what they've got for the next turn or two. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe we just don't touch the Freak Show. Because imagine I Heat Wave a 4-point card, then they come out with Savola, right? Then I think that's just a condition to lose in a game this close. So 2-4-6 off the leader brings out Savola next turn, probably. They get a refund and they bring out Morils. That's kind of what I'm planning for. It's just like, what else I'm going to play? We know that they're probably going to go tall with the... Like, if we go tall with the Jackal, then they remove the Jackal. You know what I mean? So we have to sort of split the points up wide, get the extra spender out there, and then try and distribute them evenly. It's a bad spot to be. I took that out because if they do take out the Jackal, it has bounty. So then they're going to get the coins back and have the extra coins to spend too. At least this way, if they spend the coins on the Cob, then we can heatwave the Cob. It's kind of the idea. Yeah, I'm kind of convinced that this leader got a buff, right? That extra charge in exchange for the 1 provision just allows a lot more flexibility. So I see them holding the 5 coin. I know Tribute's 1 less. Morils is going to be the last card. It's pretty obvious at this point. Take the Heatwave on the 12 while we can because it's going to be worth more than the King of Beggars, right? $38, 40 points. Jeez. That brings us to a tie. You see what I mean? They had the extra provisions. We played that one pretty well. I'm actually happy with how we played that, and we got a tie out of it. Now, moving on to the last game of the day, we have another Northern Realms matchup. Tuck back the obvious bricks there. How are you guys liking the journey pass so far? I think I made it to like level 12. Yeah, been grinding it out pretty quick. Heard the music's good. I'm gonna wait till I unlock it to listen to it. I'm excited about it. Yeah, it's already gonna be one of those matches, right? There's not a lot we can play in round 1 either. It's a pretty bad hand. So we could put down maybe a beggar, get out the boat, and start looking at getting out of the round. If we have room here at 7, we can do it. If they go over 7 points, we can't. It's one of those things. Rafford's with... Yeah, this is nuts. That's like half their turn, right? Here's the other half. So what do? The only thing I can think of here is play a bit more. Because it's not over yet, right? They might concede, but I doubt it. There's no reason for them to. It's just a matter of, okay, now what can we get them to spend to take the round, thinking that we're going to go crazy in the round, right? That's a pretty good heat wave, though. See, the heat wave might buy us... It might buy us, like, getting out. Which is why I'm like, okay, you know what? No, we'll take it. Because Siege is not the... Like, Siege is bad. But we can just remove all the engines, and then it's not so bad. So, I'm feeling like... You know what? No, like... Like, you're not taking this round from me, because I've played enough Siege this season to know that if I just give it to them, then they're just going to try and go for 2-0. And with the, like, the position our hand's in right now, it's bad. So if we go and take the Executioner here, kill the 9, get the refund, like, we're doing much better. They're going to have to go for something pretty aggressive if they're going to come back and try and take the round, right? 5, 6, 7, 8. We can maybe even put a couple bleeding. Just like 2. Should be fine, right? If they do play again, we've got Coin and we've got Slander, which really helps. I don't see a reason for them not to play. And this is what I'm talking about, though. Like, you can get out of the round, it's just going to be expensive. I think we removed the 6. Take that there. 9, spend the 6, get the 3 back. Extra, right? Yeah. I don't think they have this many points in one turn at this point, but there we go. So we got it. That was an expensive round. We didn't spend a whole lot. Like, we spent a lot. Heatwave and Witchfinder was definitely a big spend. They did spend Heatwave too, which is like kind of a nice trade. At least we're trading Heatwaves at this point. I think Peller goes. That's really good for the widespread swarm they have going on with the siege engines. So. And, oh yeah, one of the games today in this video is against, I would say a pretty household name, but I don't show that stuff because I just find it's not always relevant. But I felt pretty good because I was able to compete. It shows that I'm developing a little bit as a player. I definitely think that the daily uploads have made me a bit better as a player, because we can't keep bleeding. I'm stuck. But yeah, playing every day for the videos, like, and then obviously getting feedback from you guys, it helps me kind of dial in on some stuff. Obviously, I still make some mistakes here and there, but a lot of them are due to fatigue or distraction. But yeah, I don't know. I've been more excited about playing the more I've been playing, if that makes sense. So we're going into round 3, a card down against Siege, and I'm thinking it's over. Like, I tried to go for a soft bleed, but they just had that extra combo. I'm hoping that getting that out though was enough to maybe make their round 3 a little underwhelming. So we'll have to see. And this is what I'm talking about, guys, when I was talking about in the pre-game stuff. Put the bounty on, take the tribute, right? Get rid of that, no problem. We got to get out the boat as soon as possible, because I think if we're going card down into round 3, we need to have some sort of advantage, right? Now, this makes it even more challenging, because we got to get rid of that. But it's like I also want to get the 7 coin. So what do you do? What do you do? We might have to actually spend leader here. Because boiling oil is kind of bad, right? But then it puts us like victim to a duel. That could be a thing. Or they can just play War Chariot. Yeah, that's also a thing. I wasn't thinking about that at the time for sure. So now what do we do? I don't have any other efficient spender for removing stuff. Battering Ram's bad. Like, Battering Ram's pretty bad. And I don't think we take Trib here. I think we just take the points. So I'm feeling optimistic. Like, I'll play this game through and I won't escape enter. But I'm thinking that it's probably going to come down to a loss. Really, if we could have just gotten out of that last round even on cards, I think we would have actually like really won the game. But that Henselt cooldown passive boost is like really what locked us, and I knew I couldn't keep playing because they had Amphibious. They would have just cranked that, we would have never got the card back anyways. But maybe that was the line. They've got 2 liter, we got 7 coins. I think we click, take Ludo. I always say Lugo, because I'm thinking Skellige. Or, you know, all of a sudden, that's a lot of points. Right? What can we pull from deck, though? Probably another spender. Of course, it's a duel, right? You take that, 2 pings, remove it kind of thing, or 1 ping, remove it. So we got to back up Jackal. That's probably going to be what we have to do here, because the extra coins off the two first spends, right, is probably going to save us, if anything.
One man's battlefield is another man's ripe patch for harvest.
There you have it. What do they got left? If you guys stuck around for this long, I appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow with another video. It doesn't get any closer than what we have right here. And we leave it with a tie. Damn. See ya.